He's joined us online. Actually, also MD of NLA. You're welcome to Eyewitness News, sir.
Thank you very much, Mao. The campaign manager is the Honorable Frederick Oparian, sir.
I apologize. I was trying to give you a position so that I can use it to ask you a question on the NIB.
And the campaign chairman is the Honorable Damboche. I handled the campaign during the primaries. As you said, at that time, I wasn't a parliamentary candidate. So now that I'm a parliamentary candidate, myself, I need to manage myself before I can manage another.
You are checking yourself. So,
exactly.
So what's your position on the campaign? You're just a member?
I'm a senior campaign aide to the vice president.
Okay, that's fair enough.
So I'm a key person of this campaign.
Would I be ambushing you if I asked you why your colleague from Mansu Nkwanta has taken up a job as a managing director of NIB? Would that amount to ambushing?
Oh, not necessarily. Good evening to your cherished listeners. I think that this whole conversation must be situated in a context. First of all, he's been deputy managing director. What people don't know is he's been deputy managing director for 5 years. For 5 years. And he served under the exiting boss for 3 years. And before then, he was also deputy MD under the previous one. So if you are telling me that somebody who has been deputy managing director for 5 years has seen through the various processes, policy reforms and all, and you are telling me that after serving for 5 years, he cannot be considered for the position of the managing director, and then I find that, first of all, demeaning. I find that discriminatory, and I find that unfortunate. Are we saying that because he's a parliamentary candidate, I'm a parliamentary candidate myself, I'm managing a state institution, a strategic state institution like the National Lottery Authority. I have other colleague parliamentary candidates who are even ministers of state, CEOs and all. So one would be so new, so strange that somebody who has served as the number 2 man for 5 years in a particular institution, not in a new institution, suffice to say that he was even moved to another institution that he has no memory, institutional memory or recollection of facts and processes or events, or has no technical know-how as to how it functions. That then we can even give that particular propaganda or perception or assertion some sort. But for somebody who has served in that same capacity, I find it unfortunate. It's the first time I'm making a comment on this matter anyway, and it's because you have asked me.
Yeah.
And I think that as a colleague, he's a very level-headed gentleman.
And he would make the time that people are raising issues about the time. I mean, moving all the way to Mansu Nkwanta in the Ashanti region to go and campaign, coming back to run a bank which is not particularly feeling very well at this time. That's what Isaac Adongo's complaints are, and other people too.
But I may disagree with Adongo on this point. The vice president himself is a candidate for president. The presidential candidate of the MPP is a candidate. President Mahama, when he was sitting president, was a candidate. President Akufo-Addo in 2020 was a candidate. And so if you are telling me that because you move from one place on weekends to Mansu Nkwanta, what I would instead advise is if it gets to a point where he believes or he gets the feeling that it will be difficult to combine, I think he's reasonable enough to say that, I'm no longer then going to continue with one. But at this point, it's like we are only fast-forwarding the gentleman, not giving him even an opportunity to serve his nation in that capacity.
Very well.
So I disagree with anybody who will say he cannot do it because he's a parliamentary candidate. I disagree.
Thank you so much. In fact, that's not the reason we called you, but thank you anyway for sharing your views when I asked you.
Thank you for picking my mind.
Let's talk about the campaign tour of the vice president and flag bearer of the NPP now. Whereabout is he? I mean, he's doing 16 regions. How many so far?
So far, he's on the eastern region, he's on the western region, he's on the western north, he's on the Ahafo. He's on Bono, he's on Bono East, and just wrapping up in the Northeast, so bringing it to 7.
I saw the video of his entry into Northeast, specifically his hometown of Wale. The crowd, very huge. Was that a rented crowd or very, very natural and you know?
I think it's a natural
organic
feeling. A natural feeling, organic. Dr. Bawumia, he resonates with the people. And aside that, his affable nature, his humility, and his ability to attract people from all shades, both the young and old, the various demographics, for him is one of his other strengths in this campaign. And I am not surprised that I saw quite a huge number of young people and residents in the Northeast coming out in their numbers, to welcome him into his home region. This election will go down to the wire. This election is an election that the MPP is prosecuting the campaign with a mentality of a party in opposition, not a party in government. So our opponent must know that they are in the ring with a formidable candidate, a formidable opponent in the person of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who is determined that the nation's history must be written with also the right men and women being given an opportunity to serve their nation, regardless of their faith, regardless of their creed, regardless of their orientation, regardless of their economic status, regardless of their tribe. And I believe that so far he's conducted himself well. The nature of the first phase of his tour, he takes him to the region. He calls on the faith-based leaders, the clergy, the Christian and the Muslim leaders. Aside that, then he calls on Nananom, the regional House of Chiefs, to also seek the blessings of Nananom and to also share ideas with them, put his case before them like he does with the clergy and the faith-based leaders. Then from there, he proceeds to also do some meet and greets of lorry parks, markets, and other places, and some house to house. And then around 4 p.m., which is very symbolic of his campaign, we have a feature that is a purely conversation with the young people. We call it the Bawumia Youth Connect. And then around 6 p.m., which now is about starting one in the Northeast, that's when he draws the curtains down with a meeting of regional executives of the party, parliamentary candidates of the party, constituency chairman of the party, MMDCs in that region, and then Council of Elders and patron members, so that he also encourages them for them to also pick it up from where he's left off. He's doing this in all the 16 regions. When this should come to a close in the first week of June, when he is done, then that is when we're drilling down to constituency by constituency. So it's still a long way.
It's a very fully packed activity that he has lined up.
He has a lot of energy and he's determined.
He's not tired.
No, I don't.
You've mentioned the Youth Connect bit, which he did in the region. I have seen NDC...
In all the regions.
Yeah. Okay, there's one. I'm not sure which region it was. I'm thinking it's the Bono region. I've seen NDC people sharing on social media videos of a young girl who is in training college or a college of education posing a question to the vice president after the vice president slammed former President Mahama's government for scrapping the teacher training allowance and the nursing training allowance. This young lady said since she started being trained as a nurse, she has never received her allowance. She says they're going to start their exams in a few weeks' time. They have not received an allowance, which means they are in default. They are not able to pay their fees. And that's a big, big challenge. For a party that has been campaigning that you restored teacher training allowance and nursing training allowance because the insensitive Mahama government scrapped it, you should not be indebted to the tune that we are being told about, to the extent that the vice president didn't have an answer readily available. What do you say to that?
Omaro, challenges will come and go in our governance structure. Even in many of our organizations, it's not every time that the salaries of staff are paid on or before the 30th of every month. There are times that you also experience a few delays, even in the private sector. Maybe Citi FM, you've been extremely lucky that you've never experienced any delay in salary payment, which I want to believe so. But that cannot be the story of many of the institutions across the globe. But what I do know is that even though in the face of the extreme challenges that we face, this government is still determined that the nursing training allowance that was restored will stay. The teacher training allowance that was restored will stay, and stay even in the Bawumia government. The free SHS will stay. We've also taken notice that I think there are a couple of months or so that we are in arrears, and I can confidently say that just as the Vice President also indicated, together with the Ministry of Finance, we're making sure that these candidates, I wouldn't say children, these candidates, these young adults, get to be paid their full benefit before they say goodbye to school. And it's something that it comes a long way to help many families, because for some of these people, that is what they even use to support their families back home. So for anybody who will say that when I come, I'm going to cancel it, then that person is a sin and an assault to the future of these young people. So yes, the MPP admits that there have been some challenges, but this is not a government that runs away from challenges, and will make sure that wherever the eyes must be dotted, the T's should be crossed. We will definitely make sure that we get these payments through.
Very well. In one of the interactions with the clergy, there's something that the Vice President said about no need to tax churches and that he would give incentives to them if he becomes president. I want us to just listen to the audio for purpose of my listeners who may have not heard it, so that I can ask you to explain further. Please hold on.
Then the question is church and taxes. Are we going to tax churches? My view on this is simple. In fact, that's why I say that if you share a Juma church, in fact, we should rather be paying them rather than they paying us. Unless you don't understand the work the church has done. If you're looking at the buildings, the way they try to keep the society together, the universities, the hospitals, the schools, it's massive. It's just massive. Many churches have hundreds of schools. Massive. So I don't see, and I will not have a situation where we are taxing churches. We rather want to give churches incentives to support what government is doing.
So that's Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the NPP flag bearer, and also the Vice President. Sammi Awuku, is he suggesting that he's going to collect our tax money and give to the church? That's one of the criticisms I've seen people write on social media, that he's going to use our taxpayers' money to give to the church.
So, Maru, I think that in all fairness to the flag bearer of the NPP, and if you listen to this, he said, Oshe Juma Omu Aye. He was speaking in specific reference to the investments that these faith-based organizations make in partnering government for the nation's development. He goes further to state that some of these faith-based organizations, they've built hundreds of schools, and you heard him in there, hospitals, and other things that they do to support the communities, the society, and the nation. He says that if we should even be supporting and paying them rather than asking them to even pay taxes in their quest to partner government to develop. Again, he goes further to state that just as we have our developmental partners or development partners, that in most cases refers to our foreign development partners, he says these faith-based organizations can be our domestic or local partners, where the government deepens cooperation with them, supports them with incentives. Because if somebody is coming down, a foreign investor or development partner wants to build a hospital, and we are in a hurry to give them tax waivers and all, then you have a church, a Muslim mission, a faith-based organization willing to do the same to partner government, and we cross the neck or hold them by the neck and say that you should pay every penny, when what he's going to do is going to help promote the development of our society and help provide some social interventions and amenities for the people. That's where he took strong position and said for him, he would prefer to support these churches, these missions, these faith-based organizations who are engaged in partnering government to develop. For me, if the Catholic Church had not built the St. Augustine's College, I wouldn't have had a school called St. Augustine's College to attend. Likewise, my colleagues who attended other mission schools and other institutions that were built by faith-based organizations. So it was clear in his language and spoke about the investment and the things that they do to support government. So there was no ambiguity in that.
Okay, so it is not as if there are going to be monthly allowances or annual allowances that will be given to the churches.
Unless what you played wasn't what he said. But if what you played was what he said, and in my interaction with him this afternoon, in fact, just a couple of hours ago, when I wanted to also know, because this is the video I heard, well, unless there was something different that he said, and you could see clearly that he was making specific reference to investment. Look, now many of these faith-based organizations have moved on from the establishment of crèche, basic school or senior high schools, and now some are even establishing tertiary institutions. The Church of Pentecost like this is now in the pursuit of building prisons. Are you saying that the prisons when it's built is only going to be used by the head of the Pentecost Church and the members of the church? No, it's for the society. It's for the common good of our society.
Very well. The last time your party promised us that there will be no taxes, we are rather going to see production. We saw taxes even on our pockets, which is the Momo that we have on our phones. What trust should the church have that this promise of yours, that you are not going to tax them and rather incentivize them, is not going to be a tax on offerings that they will be receiving in the collection book?
I honestly believe that Dr. Bawumia, one of his strongest currencies, he's a man of his word. And again, under the MPP administration, I don't think we have passed any law, pushed any act or bill that seeks to tax what is in the pocket of churches. No, please.
Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you, sir.
When is he finishing the campaign? Where next?
I think from today, he is in the Northeast. I suspect from there he'll be moving on to the Upper East as well. And let me make sure that at least I'm speaking to you with something that there's so much clarity on it.
No, if you don't have it offhand, it's fine.
No. So he's currently in the Northeast. He'll be heading to Savannah, and then to the northern region. So Savannah on the 15th, northern on the 16th, and then he does Upper East on the 17th.
And the reception is good. You are going to Savannah. Are you scared?
In the last elections, there are 7 seats that were up for grabs in the Savannah. That's the home region of the NDC's leader of the party and the former president. Out of the 7 seats, the MPP had 3, the NDC had 4. In the Northeast region, the MPP had 4, NDC had 2. Res ipsa loquitur.
The fact speaks for itself. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Sammi Awuku there is a senior campaign aide of the Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia campaign.